Welcome to all. In this video, we're going to discuss about rocks and minerals. We'll go through some sort of introduction, followed by difference between rocks and minerals, and what are the steps involved in a rock cycle. And we are going to learn some classification, how the rocks are formed and its nature. And we will learn about three different type of rocks. One is called igneous rocks or primary rocks, followed by sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. For the time being, in this lecture, we are going to learn about igneous rocks. So let us see some introduction regarding rocks. So as we all know that earth crust, we can see mainly two principal materials or categories. Those are minerals and rocks. So first of all, we want to know what is minerals. So these are minerals having either inorganic homogeneous substance. That means the chemical composition is very defined. There is a only single chemical, there is a very defined chemical composition will be there, and there will be a very characteristic geomorphic form will be there. And there will be proper arrangement, there will be proper orderly arrangement will be the regular arrangement will be there in the minerals. Example like quartz. In quartz, we can see silica oxides, and orthoclase we can see, and calcite we can see calcium carbonate, and olivines and gypsum, like calcium sulfate and all. That means a mineral itself is a very inorganic substance which has only very single and homogeneous substance, very only one component. Either it's a calcium might be there, either it may be silica, or it might be a sulfur or a gypsum. These are the so minerals are, whereas apart from rocks, it's a combination of minerals. So the rocks from which earth is made up of minerals. See the first line itself, the rocks which are from the earth are made up of minerals. So has the rock has a many combination of different minerals. It's a mixture of two or more minerals. So their physical, chemical composition vary with the characteristics of the minerals. So the combination, for example, gypsum and calcite combination. If they both, if they combined, they make from one rock means. So the combination, the characteristics of the rocks will be very different. The science of rock study, the study of rocks is called petrology, the science of rocks, which is unit of the earth crust. Whereas petrography, graphy means study. It gives the description of the rock. So petrography will give the description of the rocks, and petrogenesis, origin. Genesis means, remember one word called genesis means origin of the rock. So genesis means it's a study about the rocks. Petrography means description of the rocks. Petrology means science of rock, which deals about the unit of the small earth crust. That means science of the rocks, you can say. And coming to weatherability, we'll learn in our coming lectures. Weatherability is nothing but rocks made up of ferromagneseous minerals like olivine and pyroxenes are more weatherable than the non-ferromagneseous minerals. What is this ferromagneseous and magneseous? We'll see in a coming lectures. Now let us see some difference between the rocks. So as I told that rock is a substance which has a combination of minerals. So it's a combination of minerals, more than one mineral. Whereas minerals are inorganic substance that occur naturally. So minerals occur very naturally, but rocks are formed with a combination of these minerals. So rock does not have any definite chemical composition. Why? Because it's a combination. It's a combination of minerals. Whereas minerals has a very definite composition will be there. And rocks are mainly classified into, as we already discussed in the content, that igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Whereas minerals are mainly classified into four groups like silicates, carbonates, and sulfates, metallic minerals, etc. Example with rocks is marble, slate, and limestone are some kind of rocks. We will see what is this marble, what is this slate and limestone. We will see in the coming slides. Example for the minerals are iron, aluminium, and calcium are some examples of minerals. So what is the steps rock? How the rocks are formed? What is the different pressure? So very first, molten magma. So in a volcano, there will be molten magma will be there. So that magma will be cooled. By the cooling, we can see some igneous rocks. Example, basalt and granite. We will go in detail in coming slides about these igneous rocks. After when the igneous rocks are formed, these igneous rocks will go through a process called weathering and erosion. Due to that, we can see some sedimentary rocks are formed. And these sedimentary rocks again undergo some deposition, composition, and cementation. Undergo these three processes, some deposition, composition. So due to this, and it will leads to form a sedimentary rock. Due to these three process, when the igneous rocks are formed from the coal and magma, it went through some erosion and everything. We can see some sedimentation. Again, these these sediments, what is sand and gravel, again went through some deposition and composition. We can see some sedimentary rocks will form. Sedimentation. Sedimentation means settle down. That word itself indicates. And after when the sedimentary rock undergo through some heat and pressure, and it leads to formation of metamorphic rock. And again, this metamorphic rock comes to melting, and again it returns to the formation of magma. So this is how the three different rocks is formed, like igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. So igneous rocks are directly formed from the volcanic lava, and after cooling down of volcanic lava, we can see there is a formation of igneous rocks. The same igneous rocks go through weathering and erosion. It form the sand and gravel, and again the sand and gravel will is again go through a process called deposition, compaction, cementation, which leads to the formation of sedimentary. All this deposition, compaction, sedimentation is nothing but sedimentary deposition through various means of source like water, etc. It forms the sedimentary rocks, and these sedimentary rocks again go through some heat and pressure, is where go through some heat and pressure and leads to formation of metamorphic rock. This sedimentary rock is formed through metamorphic rock because of the presence of heavier, severe heat and pressure. And this leads to the form, and again it will go again. This metamorphic rock may go through some melting and leads to the formation of magma. So how the rocks are formed? Now we will go through the formation of and nature and classification of rocks. So rocks are divided based on mode of formation. How are they formed? As I told that the three different rocks are there: igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks or secondary rocks, or metamorphic rocks. So igneous rocks also called as primary rocks. Again, in these primary rocks, we can see two different classifications. So based on the mode of origin, they are divided into extrusive or volcanic rocks. Remember this word called volcanic rocks, intrusive or plutonic rock. We can see plutonic rock is there, and we will see, we're going to deal about these two in detail. And based on the chemical composition, there we can see acid rocks which contain more than 65% of silica. It is called as acid rocks, example granite and pitchstone. Followed by the subacid rocks, which is consisting of 60 to 65% of silica, example snit and tacit. My apologies to the pronunciation. So sub basic rocks which consisting of 50 to 60% of silica, like detroit and andesite, and followed by the basic rock which consisting of 45 to 55 silica, example gabbro and basalt. Followed by the ultra basic which consisting of less than 45% of silica, it consisting of ultra basic. So based on silica acid, based on your silica or silica acid, based on the chemical composition, igneous rocks are classified into acid rocks, subacid rocks, subbasic rocks, and basic rocks and ultra basic rocks. So try to make a note on this, so it will be useful uh, for further preparation. So acid rocks, as I more than 65% is directly we can say acid rocks. If subacid rocks, it's 60 to 65%. It's called silica, and subbasic rocks are nothing but 50 to 60, 55% to 60% is called subbasic rocks. So again, subbasic rock, basic rocks is further divided into 45 to 55% of silica, and ultra basic rock, which is called the 45% of silica. So these are the examples for the respective rocks. Now let us see one by one. We are going to deal about this type of rocks. So let us see igneous rocks and primary rocks. So they are formed by the cooling and crystallization of molten material. Molten material, magma or volcano. So magma or molten magma on or beneath the surface of it. So these rocks are formed from the molten material. These materials might form on this earth surface or beneath the subsurface or beneath the earth surface or earth crust. So they are characterized by the non-laminar massive structure, followed by the, and these igneous rocks may make up of 95% of the earth crust. followed by. So these materials, these are the main sources. These igneous sources are the main source of parent material, and ultimately these are the source for the soils too. So most of the earth is made up of 95% of earth crust. So these are the main source for the parent material. For the as the from soils, parent materials are formed from the soil. So ultimately these are the source for the soils too. So we can see igneous rocks. We can some are the beneath. This is a magma. Here we can see some fine crystal materials. We will see what is a basalt, what is granite. We will see in coming slides. So classification, repetition of this. So based on mode of origin and chemical composition, we can see first we will discuss about the mode of origin. So as I told that there are two types of the igneous rocks are there. One is extrusive rock. Extrusive rock means when the if the molten magma was exploded or it was ejected, what will happen? Some rocks are found on the above the surface of the earth crust. So those are called the extrusive. Extrusive means outside. Extrusive igneous rocks are cooled quickly. As a result, they are the fine grains. So as they were excluded, so what happened? These rocks will form on the above the earth crust, so they will get a very fine grain structure, and it didn't have any lack of crystalline growth, so they won't have any crystalline growth because they form on the above the earth surface. And coming to intrusive or igneous, that intrusive means inside igneous rock, that these are formed beneath the earth crust or below the earth surface. So intrusive igneous rocks are formed from the magma that cools down slowly as a result of forming a coarse grain soils, coarser grain rocks, not soils, coarser grain rocks. So these are the based on the origin. Your igneous rocks were classified into extrusive and intrusive. Extrusive means outside, the rocks which are formed above the earth crust or above the earth surface, those are called extrusive. And here, due to the ejection, they are formed on the above the earth surface. They're lacking of any crystalline growth, and there will be very fine grained rock will be there. Intrusive because these are formed below the earth surface or earth crust. So these are called the intrusive rocks and are formed from the magma that cool down slowly. As a result, they form the coarse grain structures. Now let us see mode of origin. Yeah, I think this is what I was willing to explain to you. So this for your preparation purpose. Example, basalt. We can see extrusive rock is example for what I have all my explanation. Example for the extrusive rock is your basalt, followed by the intrusive. Intrusive is called the plutonic rock also. So example is your granite. So it is called the granite. So extrusive rocks are called the volcanic rocks. Intrusive rocks are called the plutonic rocks. This is the example of extrusive and intrusive based on the mode of origin. So chemical composition. Based on the chemical composition, here I'm going to discuss about the, as in above slide I have shown many classes about the acid and basic components. So let us discuss. So the bulk acid component like silica, while soda and potash, aluminium, lime magma or iron oxides are constituted the base material. So acidity is due to the because of silica or silic acids, whereas basicity of the rocks are main caused by the soda or potash, aluminium, lime, magnesium, and iron oxides are the main reason for the basicity of the rocks. So as these are repetitions, if there is a more than 60 percentage of silica, it is consisting of, it is called the acid rocks. And based on if it less than 50 percentage, I'm giving a very overall picture because this already we have discussed in the previous slide. So if it is less than 50%, it's called the basic salts. Basic rock. Example for the acid rock is granite. Example for the example for the acid rock is granite. Example for the basic rock is basalt. And remember, this granite is an intrusive rock. This is a extrusive rock. Remember this for your. It will be might be useful for your further studies. So the weathering product of the granite are light in color, sandy soil with low specific gravity. Just remember this. If the granite, as I told that this is like 70%, 75% of the earth crust is made up of igneous rocks. So ultimately, it is those rocks are laid down as a parent material. From the parent material, soils are formed. So granite is one of the igneous rocks, and it is a parent material for the soil formation. If the soils are formed from the granite, they are light in color, sandy soils with a very low specific gravity. So the soils which are formed from the granite are classified into NT soils, incepti soils. Whereas the soils which are from the basalt are dark color and heavy soils with a high specific gravity. These type of the soils which are derived from the basalt are classified into black cotton soils or coming into the order of vertisols. So what is this vertisol and antisols? These are the pedological classification mostly done by the USDA taxonomic classification, which we will see in further classes. Now let us go for in detail about the igneous rock. So the basalt is mostly abundant rock formed from the molten material. So basalt is a extrusive rock formed above the earth's surface. It's a very fine grained dark color rock that consisting of 50% of feldspar and 50% of ferromagneseous minerals, including pyroxenes and olivines. Just you recall the just we recall the just few minutes back, we have given a definition of rocks. Rocks are the combination of minerals, so it forms the combination of minerals. That's why here we can see there is a feldspar is there is a ferromagneseous minerals also, the pyroxenes and olivines. Now you decide and please mention in that in the comment section below this rock whether high or low. This also whether the rocks very high or weatherability is very high or low, please mention in the comment. So the coarse grained rock with a comparable composition is gabbro. So if with this combination, if it is a coarse grained rock, it is called, if this with this combination, it is called gabbro. So pumic rock. So pumic rock, it's a very lightweighted. There will be some air pockets. It's a very lightweight and very low specific gravity. Due to this, if you see there is a what you call Ramasetu, what we call in India, the connecting bridge between India and Sri Lanka. As per the mythology, those Ramasetu was built by with this type of rock because as it is a very low specific gravity than water, it will float on the river or in a not in river, in a sea or in water. So as a result, it floats on the water. So it floats on the water. So in the combination, it's a comparable with a granite. So the combination we can compare with a granite and rhyolite, and in texture like a sponge. It's very texture like a sponge, and sometimes we nowadays this stone is using for a bathing purpose too, to cleaning our body because of its spongy nature. So granite, again I am telling, rocks are made up of combination of different minerals. That's why in this granite we can see it's a coarse texture. Already we have this and light colored rock consisting of 60 to 70 percentage of feldspar, of which orthoclase consisting of 40 to 45 percentage of 45 percentage, and plagioclase 20 to 25 percentage, and ferromagneseous minerals 3 to 10 percentage, and quartz is 20 to 30 percentage. So if the with the same combination, if it is a fine grained soil, it is called as rhyolite. This is another igneous rock which is comparable to the granite with the same combination, but only difference is granite is a coarse texture, rhyolite is a fine textured rock. Now, please mention in the comment section what are the examples of igneous rocks and igneous rocks, extrusive and intrusive. Thank you very much.